Hey YouTube, welcome back to another video. Ooh, tiny bit of a voice crack there. I got in a conversation with a friend the other day about something that I've not thought about in a long time, and that's whether in the world that I'm in, the music world that I'm in, which is not the same music world that everybody else lives in, because music's a pretty big thing, does talent matter more or does hard work matter more? There's always this thing going on, and a lot of people outside the music world who don't really understand think that talent has a huge weight to it. And honestly, I think it's a pretty simple answer. Hard work wins every single time. Almost every single time. Hard work is what gets people to where they are. Now, why do I say that? Well, in the circles I'm in, the kind of like freelance trombone world or whatever, and some other stuff that I happen to do, talent is brought up almost never. Sometimes someone might say, oh, he's a really talented such and such arranger, or she's a really talented jazz player or something like that. Almost never, though, are these people literally saying, oh, this person is naturally good at this thing. They know, as someone else who is at that higher level, that you don't just become good at something out of nowhere. You don't just innately have a skill that gets you all the way to the professional level. I think that talent exists. I'm not sure if it exists in the way that we think it does, but the only way to actually get to the professional level, to the top, and not even the top, but like the medium levels of the professional world, is to actually put in a bunch of practice and a bunch of work. There's no way to just skate by on just talent. There is a way to skate a certain distance on just talent, but you can't really make it all the way to a place where you're like actually making money and making a living doing it. And so the word talent just really has not very much weight in the world that I'm in. And it's really that simple. Now, I think talent is a bit of a misnomer. I have made it to where I am by practicing a lot, but I'm not going to say that I have no talent. I think I have a couple talents that have helped me out in my pursuit of professional trombone playing. I have a pretty good ear. I don't have perfect pitch, but I have like pretty good relative pitch. But even then, there's people who have way better relative pitch than I do. And I'm pretty good at kind of like mimicking sounds. I can hear something and kind of get close to it pretty quickly. That's kind of the ear thing. But also some stuff with like oral cavity and stuff like that. Those are a couple musical skills that I think I have. Now, are those talent or are those just things I've learned at a young age? From a very young age, I was singing a lot. My parents were singing to me. We had music playing a lot. I was hearing a lot of things, and then I was singing at a very early age. And my parents made me do voice lessons at a very early age as well, and choirs and all sorts of things. So my ear basically had no choice but to get a little bit better by degrees. You know, I wasn't just instantly a prodigy and just like sang perfectly in tune all the time and was just amazing. No, that took training. So maybe there's some talent there, but I don't know if you can go all the way back to when I was a baby and just be like, oh yeah, he's got good relative pitch. I think that was probably also a trained skill that shows up as talent later down the road. And that ability to kind of like mimic sounds, part of that was the ear thing, like I said. And then I was just a little nerd, and I loved to make sound effects with my mouth and my voice. I loved to hear something and try and replicate it. And I just did that all the time with fun stuff with my toys and things. And so maybe I had a talent for that, but I practiced that by playing all the time as a kid for years and years, making sound effects and doing weird things like that with my mouth that ended up being a useful skill. So was that a talent? Or again, was that something that I put practice and time into that helped me down the road? I think people will see really young players that are really good at their instruments and be like, oh wow, they're really talented. And I'm not going to downplay the fact that they probably do have some innate ability that just kind of transfers to the instrument. They don't have to think about certain things. One thing that I think happens to some people is that they literally pick up the instrument and kind of figure out the very basics of how to make a sound very quickly. I don't know if that's a talent. Sometimes I think it's literally just an accident. Like the famous story of Joseph Alessi picking up a trombone, and the very first note he played was a high B flat. The very first note when he was like 10 years old or something, or 9, or very, very young. The very first note he played was a high B flat. He was always going to be amazing. But again, he grew up as the son of a professional trumpet player, as the brother of another professional trumpet player. I think Ralph Alessi is a professional trumpet player. I'm not entirely sure. That's what Joe Rowell mutes are named after, Joe and Ralph Alessi. And he grew up in an insanely musical household and just was steeped in the musical thing from basically as a baby. So, is that talent? Did he just have stuff as a baby, like, you're going to be good at trombone someday? Or did he just grow up in the perfect conditions to be who he is and put in tens of thousands of hours of practice? Joe did not just play a high B flat on trombone. He was like, well, I'm good. I'm just going to skate by in talent and win a bunch of auditions and do a bunch of solo work and blah, blah, blah. No, he put in so much time on his instrument in a healthy, productive way that he got to where he was. I don't know if anybody in his position could have done the exact same thing. If somebody who'd never played trombone and never heard a note of music in their life could pick up an instrument and play a high B flat for their very first note. It's possible, but Joe was put in that situation kind of on purpose so that he would become the person that he is. So basically, I think talent might exist. I think there's talented individuals out there. You can look at someone like Jacob Collier, who just can do all these crazy musical things. He's got perfect pitch and like can sing less than quarter tones, just like cents apart, and like does all this crazy rhythm stuff. Yes, I think there's some innate talent in there, but he also practices his butt off doing all this stuff. He doesn't just do it. He has to put in time before he can just do it in front of people. So I think talent exists, but the biggest factor, by like 99%, it's always hard work. So don't let the civilians, as I like to put it, the people outside of the music world, don't let them say like, oh, I'm not sure if you have the talent for this. I'm not really sure if it matters that much. And we'll talk about this more later. I have more thoughts on it. I've been like staying up at night just going like, what matters more, talent or hard work? And I'm like, it's hard work. But there's little things to talent as well. So we'll talk about this more. That's my main thoughts though. Hard work, by far the biggest thing. So go practice like I'm going to do right now. Bye.